One glove or two?
One. Michael Jackson.
Good answer.
I love people. It's not the fashion. It's the people in fashion I love.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Brose here, and welcome to the Brose brand. Thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate you. And today, as you know, we're going to be analyzing the fashion evolution of Michael Jackson. Now, I'm going to just give a little memo. I'm kind of like do an overview, because if I did like a breakdown of each one, I don't think I will ever get it done. We're just going to break it down and just do an overview. So let's get to it. Now, Michael Jackson's fashion evolution is as iconic as his music. His style is often as much a part of his legacy as his groundbreaking performances in classic music. From the early days of his career to his later days, Michael Jackson's fashion journey was marked by numerous distinctive eras that reflect his artistic persona. So you could definitely tell by his style what era he was in. Every era was different, from the 60s to later 2000s. Michael always had a good, respective relationship with fashion. Whether he wore things from runways, he largely commissioned his wardrobe from personal dressmakers inspired by history and art. You know, Michael had really good connections with designers like John Galliano, and he would wear really different name brand items. So let's break it down. In the early 1970s, this is when Michael was a young boy. His style kind of represented the era of it, Motown and classic R&B. As a part of the Jackson 5, his influence was definitely inspired by the era, with colorful, coordinated outfits designed to showcase the unity of the group. Also, these outfits were flamboyant, glittery, and youthful. They were young, they were teens. So key pieces was definitely the bell bottoms, of course, wide collar shirts, satin shirts, ruffle shirts, large lapels with influences of the 1960s psychedelic fashion. This represented the early 70s, of course. They were like the staple of what 70s looked like for young black kids. And then as we move to the 1970s to the early 1980s, that's when fashion was changing, and Michael was changing itself. He was moving into his teen to early 20 years. As Michael began to define his own solo career during the Off the Wall era, 1979 to 1982, Michael's style was more polished and sleek. He embraced the disco and funk movement of the times, wearing sharp suits and sophisticated yet stylish looks. His hair was different. Again, key pieces was fitted suits, silk shirts, and often wore vests. Trousers with slightly tapered fits, suspenders. His outfits were paired with high-waisted pants and platform shoes. He also sported his signature curly hair. This marked the start of Jackson's trend-setting approach to fashion, as he braced his high fashion elements with mixed street-ready vibes during that time, and he was kind of getting into his own era. Collar shirts, he was definitely in his bag. Then we move to the biggest era of all, the early to mid 80s, the thriller pop glam era. Now this is where I feel like he started really showcasing his iconic looks and what he's known for. The release of Thriller in 1982 cemented Michael's place as a global icon, as an artist, but also as in his fashion style. Certain pieces becoming key aspects of what pop culture is. He embraced a more daring theatrical looks and mixing glam, rock, military influences, and street style. He definitely was one of the first to bring that to the industry. So let's talk about it. So the red leather jacket perhaps is probably one of the most iconic thing out the era. Well, arguably, I don't know, it's so many, but I would definitely say the red leather jacket he wore in Thriller became synonymous with his image in Halloween. People still wear that to this day and still remake items of that. The jacket had a unique design that was futuristic and edgy at the time. In the 80s, it was all about the future, what the future was going to be, right? So that was a huge piece that Michael wore. Then the military-inspired outfits. Of course, the gloves, he popularized with the single white glove.
The inspiration behind Beyonce's efforts in her Single Ladies video.
With rhinestones, which became an iconic symbol. High water pants that showed off his white socks, and black loafers. It became another signature style that Mike was known for and that people still wear to this day. So during this time, he really trendsetted a lot of fashion styles during this era, and a lot of people currently wear that stuff today. Like when he wore that to the Grammys, that was just big. So shout out to the iconic Michael Jackson. And then we go to the late 80s and 1990s, which is the bad era, which was bold, edgy, and kind of like a military style. Different looks, you know, as you can see. This time, you know, his appearance was definitely changing, as you can see in the early 80s, but you definitely could see a distinct change here. But it didn't really matter because his style was still on point, and you know. But yeah, the Bad album era in 1987 marked the beginning of a more aggressive, rebellious look for Michael. He embraced a tougher and more masculine aesthetic, incorporating a lot of military style elements, rock style elements, and a sharp tailoring. You know, during the Bad tour, you know, he had military jackets with gold chains, decorative buttons, and that became his signature look during the Bad, with the skin tight leather pants or black trousers with combat boots. You know, then during that time he did kind of start wearing fedora hats too, and which particularly black fedora hats became another signature look for Michael. And then leather studded gear, which incorporated studs, zippers, and leather into his outfit, as seen on the Bad music video and tour. You know, that whole black outfit in the cover of his album. And then fingerless gloves. His gloves evolved from being, you know, from rhinestones to now fingerless gloves, adding more of a tough persona and more edgy persona too, getting rid of that kind of like good guy and turning it into like bad. It was kind of like one of the first eras, going from like this, you know, American kid, that sweetheart in a way where, like, you know, everybody loved Michael and he was just like this good guy, and now he's like, you know, good guy going bad, kind of like the first of its time. And this military era inspired tough yet stylish looks, which defined Jack's reinvention as a solo artist. It also helped reestablish his influence on both music and fashion. Fashion and music go hand in hand.
My answer would be like what Michael's was. They're all my favorite. I think it's hard because like each album had its own significant look, and it would change with every album. And I think within each one of those periods, there would probably been a favorite garment. So like the Bad tour, like behind me is the jacket with the police badges on it, because that was one of the most iconic. It seemed like it was photographed. It was everywhere. And then again, it's military. You've got your eagles. You've got your police badge look. It's shiny, and just the hard V going to the point to the waist just made him look larger than life. When it came to working with his costume, he's very like there on a daily, hourly basis with it. And it was like Michael's concept was, I want the fashion designers in the world, the big conglomerates, I want them to copy me. I don't want to wear basically what's out there. I want to push my individuality, and being that my music's me, my look should be me. And it was always going out, studying to see what's out in the world. And Michael's concept was, we study what's out there, now we have to top it. What's the next look? Where's it going to go next?
Now we then move to the mid-90s, moving away from the Bad to the Danger/His Story era, which is futuristic and costume-like era. As Michael moved into the 90s, his style became more elaborate, incorporating elements of futurism and high-tech fashion and theoretical costumes. Again, this was, I guess, I would say this was kind of like a good mixture of thriller and Bad, because I feel like it had key elements from each one. This era marked a flashy, sometimes eccentric look. Jackson continued with military and futuristic themed looks, like the black jacket with intricate gold embellishment, or that black look, that black shirt they wore in the Scream video. Statement belts became statement pieces, often large, studded with various metallic elements, like, you know, Remember the Time. He had that gold look shirt on. You know, his hair was more so, it was the same from the Bad era, but, you know, it was longer. He had more of a straight look, more free, loose curls. You know, statement belt chains, those kind of dark, dramatic styles. Leather, chain, studs were common elements of his stage outfits. He often wore a lot of black, accessorizing with silver chains, bracelets, and heavy boots. Very similar to Bad, but a little bit more flashy, I would say. Jackson often wore sunglasses, sometimes even indoors at night, contributing to his mystery and larger-than-life persona. And then, you know, the Danger era saw futuristic fashion blending military influences. Again, his look became even more elaborate, showcasing his status as a global icon and pop innovator. So, you know, this time he's like in his 30s, you know, and he's like showcasing his style a lot. So now we move to the late 90s and early 2000s. You know, this is when Michael kind of like, you know, he had the haircut. Later part of his career, Michael's style became more casual but heavily influenced by high fashion. He often got into a streetwear with luxury designer pieces, you know, loose jackets, oversized shirts. Jackets became a signature part of his style during this time. You know, of course, he had his iconic aviator frames. He continued his love for statement accessories like oversized rings, chunky jewelry, which had a part of his everyday style. It's the early 2000s, so he would actually don a fitted suit. On formal occasions, he would wear fitted suits with sharp lines, but even these were like often accessorized with chains, gloves, fedoras. You know, his fashions were less specific about trends and more about creating and continuing his timeless looks and kind of like remaking them, but in a more adult way. So yeah, this was definitely from the year late 90s to early 2000s, the Invincible era, which is casual meets high fashion.
Do you like shopping?
Love it.
What do you love about shopping?
Not so much of buying, and I'm not cheap, but I love seeing how people make things. I love craftsmanship, what people can do with their hands and their imagination.
And then like as we move toward the mid 2000s to like fortunately to his untimely death, his final years he continued to evolve with his personal styles. He had a personal stylist where he would wear jackets slash blazers a lot, custom jackets, custom blazers from Balmain and things like that. Those jackets had intricate detail and embroidery and rhinestones in different colors. He often wore a lot of suits and ties. He had longer hair, and you know, he wore his skinny pants, aviator jeans, and created a lot of timeless looks. You know, some key pieces I love was when the retro 80s Letterman jacket he wore in Thriller. Many designers like Louis Vuitton and Givenchy was influenced by that and made their own signature looks. Again, his military style was undoubtedly a central part of his wardrobe that he wore throughout the years from the 80s to up until his passing. You can see a lot of people drawing inspiration and wearing outfits that wear military jackets as their everyday look. Fedoras, you know, ever since he wore that in Smooth Criminal, people have emulated, and that's been a part of his legacy too. Let's not also forget his rhinestone era from the early 80s to mid 80s. That was him. And then aviator sunglasses, that was his go-to. So from the 80s to 90s, we rarely saw him without the glasses. That was just reflective of what he liked and what was part of his style. But again, a lot of people will wear those because of Michael. Also, some fun facts about it. Jackson also would ask tailors to make his clothes specifically for him. It was very custom to what he wanted. At the height of his fame, Jackson fashion inspired trends around the world. They called him a fashion pioneer. Often, Jackson has influenced a lot of celebrities with their style, from Beyonce to his sister Janet to Lady Gaga.
Bought a load of Michael Jackson's clothes.
I did.
How many items of clothing are we talking here?
Oh, I must have at least, I think, 400 pieces.
No way.
I've got a Thriller jacket. I've got one of his gloves. Lots of his tour costumes.
Do they smell?
No. They're kept in pristine condition. And I actually keep them in a temperature-controlled room so that they can be preserved for, the rest of time.
How do you know that they're for sure his clothes, though? How do you know for
because
sure?
They were sold through an auctioneer.
Well, yes, but I've been stung.
Yeah, well, they're his clothes.
No.
Just to name a few, those like big women who are known for their fashion, he influenced them with his style. A lot of people bought and have certain pieces of his stuff that he wore before he passed away. So I would say definitely Michael Jackson fashion was revolutionary in his ability to mix fantasy with everyday and a little bit of a rebellion. Whether he was wearing a red leather jacket, a military jacket, or even a simple fedora, every Michael Jackson wore became iconic, cementing his status as a fashion trailblazer. His blend of street culture, glam, eccentricity not only changed the way people dress, but also how they thought about what they wear in performances. He definitely pioneered on what you should wear and how you should dress and what you should look like when you are a star and when you are performing. His look matched his performances. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about Michael's style down below. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you on my next one. Peace. Thank you.
Isn't it beautiful, this set?
Your chess set in your library is...
No, this one's bigger.
This
one's bigger.
Wow. Oh, it's sold, look.
I bought this one, right?
Is this yours?
Yeah, that's the soul sign means for me.
Okay, how much is that one?
Did we ever get this one, these ones?
It's only 89,000.
No.
Can you put that on the list?
Of course.
Get your pen just so you can mark and not forget.
I'm getting the list now.
Okay. Did we get those?
I don't believe so.
I like those. Why don't we order those?
Right.
Yeah, I like those.
Have you got enough space for all of this,
Yeah,
Michael?
I do.
You've got space?
Yeah. And
But
we
in,
bought
in the house in
these.
Neverland? Or?
No, this would be for another house.
Oh, for another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We bought these, right? And these.
Yes.
And
You like your urns, don't you?
Yeah. And these we bought.
Yes.
And these.
Yes.
This table.
Yes.
These. Right?
Yes.
Look at these big